This is the this video is intended for the 26 and 27 Janta. I hope none of the 25 attempters are right now on YouTube. Okay. And I'm happy, excited, assured, and I don't know what not to tell you that this year, for at least the last 3 months, where I've been bullish on just one single framework that you have to perfect to crack this essay convincingly, which is the TAS framework, which I teach at Civilsdaily in the SMASH essay program, which is the thesis, antithesis, synthesis program framework. Every damn essay, every single essay, regardless of your attempt and your comfort level with respect to a PYQ theme revise, but every essay is only solvable if you've mastered the TAS framework and mastered it convincingly well. Okay, and this is not the video for me explaining to you the framework and its nuances, but it's so exciting that TAS and its derivative, the thematic deep dive, is all there is to it. So a lot of the teachers and mentors and I don't know, old faculties who are still living in the pre-2021 era, who still believe that thematic essays will always find a way in, so you don't have to slog really hard and you can still solve papers basis your, I don't know, environmental knowledge or thematic feminism knowledge and whatnot. I think they should really have a hard reset now. And all of you guys who are preparing for 26, 27, barring the first topic, okay, truth has no color, which I think only the highest Advaitin or highest philosopher among us could attempt convincingly well. I mean, everything else can be attempted very, very convincingly if you only know how to flesh out the thesis, antithesis, and the synthesis. Okay, this is the paper now, and I went through a poll where I realized that most of you guys, most of the people who attempted mains, either they went for this best lessons are learned from the bitter experiences, which is this best lessons are learned through the bitter experiences, or this one, it's best to see life as a journey, not a destination. So section A ka fourth and section B ka third, which is almost a recurring PYQ theme. It's also a boon and a bane because almost everyone did this. And so now the person who will get more marks is the person who used X factor examples, anecdotes, and he could flesh out the antithesis and synthesis well. Okay. So on the face of it, this essay paper was attemptable. Yes, you could attempt the questions if you've gone through your PYQs properly. But as I teach in the TAS framework and as I teach in SMASH essay, you have to go to the second degree and third degree of connect. Okay. I don't know who attempted that. You have my utmost respect. But in the other questions, 7 out of these 8 questions were discussed in SMASH essays, not just in one single question, but multiple questions. So 7 out of 8 questions were absolutely doable. You would have gotten model answers, X factor drop anecdotes. And if you were speaking with me and getting mentored with me in the SMASH program, you would have understood the layers which are beyond just reading example and putting it out. So you would have understood the nuance of putting the right argument to prove your point well. But that said, these 3 highlighted questions are the one which I believe most people could have attempted it. And if you've done your PYQ reading slightly better, you would have seen recurring themes. So micro themes like action and inaction or bias for action recurs again here. This question, thought finds a world and creates one also. I hope you can figure out that there was a question, real is rational and rational is real, back in 2021. If you would have sat down with that question, you would have done some justice to this. Although essay paper is slightly difficult from the GS paper, so there are like a lot of micro themes together, there are a lot of nuances together. So I'd risk oversimplifying this, and that would be a disservice to your preparation and my teaching. कि one-on-one micro themes, एक में 3 micro theme लग जाती हैं, ठीक है? But the idea is that study the micro themes, study the philosophical, reflective micro themes better. The micro themes in essay paper are unlike that of GS paper. So यहाँ पे आएगा action versus inaction, bias for action, okay? यहाँ पे आएगा romanticism versus rationalism, which you have to study, and themes like that. One question which I was hoping we'd get is something on the AI or some incidental reflection on the AI, but it didn't come. But that happens. Cool. This is what I'm so excited about. Last year we had 3 hits, 3 across both sections, so you could have done well. This year we have 7 hits, major hits, and I'll tell you how they panned out. This is the Telegram group, the free Telegram group, which I'm sure most of the would-be rankers are already part of it. If you're not, guys, I mean, the whole action is here. for the last 3 months, I've been giving one free in-depth review to every person who's actually attempting mains or attempted the mains today. And in conversations with them, I realized I might have gone through over maybe 200 odd essay topics across 500 reviews. So ऐसे तो मेरे सब देखे हुए, even the first one we've discussed. Whoever has discussed wisdom is the truth or something like that with me would have gone into the Advait philosophy with me over phone. That truth has no color, but society clouds it. And so the whole synthesis has to be that, we have to actively, consciously remove the biases so that the arc of moral justice and all that other gyan can be shortened, right? So the more you engage in the essay much before December, when you actually start preparing for prelims, is the time when you will discover and develop this philosophical depth. This is a given. Please do not think it's a spiel to get you in a program. It's not. Jahan bhi padhe ho, jaise bhi padhe ho. If you're not developing this philosophy, this reflective thought, if you're not figuring out the task framework and actually acing it, you're going to miss it. And closer to mains, you'll regret it. And that regret is real because I speak with kids who discovered this group and the program much, much later. Anyway, so this is it. This is the, except for the first one. And I have written the framework TAS in everyone, although I teach TAS and TDT. These are the only two frameworks I teach. I don't teach PESTEL, I don't teach stakeholder, I do not teach temporal and all the nonsense approaches which you've been plagued with since I don't know whenever essay came about being. But if anyone can take a hard stand, post 2021, all those approaches, the older ones, are nothing but mnemonics to remember examples. That's it, nothing more. TAS and TDD are the only two approaches where, put simply, if you're able to have 3 reflective thoughts and you chisel them out properly in your rough work, you'll add examples on top of them, which you will refine with your arguments and put them back in the essay paper, right? So instead of just one thesis or one main topic of the essay and then a very loose counter view, which most of you guys would have heard from people, you actually go and deep dive into the thesis, antithesis and synthesis, okay? So depending upon your comfort, you could go with TAS or a TDD approach. Okay, TDD is nothing but a statement where synthesis has already been done, meaning 2 things have already been resolved. So usme you can just say thematic deep dive. Okay, and again, I'm not going to explain it in depth here, but I'll tell you that read the expansion. If you were to attempt truth knows no color, what the examiner wants you to know is that one, obviously truth is absolute truth is absolute, but buts are all the antithesis. But it gets distorted by identity, prejudice, and social hierarchies and whatnot, right? And while the truth still remains untainted, if you remember the Advaitin teaching of ki wo jo money hoti hai ya the gem hota hai, the light passes through it and it might appear red or green or whatever, but the money, that still remains what it is, right? But still, the society takes a lot of time to come round to it. So it's, synthesis would be, it's our prerogative to be consciously getting that color out, okay? Now this theme I would have discussed with students in classroom. I didn't give an explicit essay topic, so I've not mentioned anything on the smash essay part here, but it's something which highest reflective kid would have been able to attempt. And like you see, that kid would be in minority and he would actually get X factor marks for that. Second one, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. People who would have read Art of War, not even in depth, but just studied around, or who would have gone through my X Factor drops around Kennedy. At the peak of the Cold War, Kennedy picked up a book by, I think, Barbara Truman, and I'm missing the name, The Guns of August, which was a book on World War I, where she mentioned that, because of all these communication error and leadership issues, and a lot of communication mishaps, the war kind of escalated and resulted in that big bad World War I, right? And Kennedy didn't want to repeat that mistake, knowing full well. So he gave copies of that book. Barbara Tuchman, I think the name of the lady, a novelist, historian is, and he averted Cold War. Now I explained it in good details as to what were the overt and covert means which he applied, because Russia also wanted to save a face. They couldn't have just parted ways from the conflict. So there was some propaganda done so that citizens and masses will be appeased. But there was this inherent principle that, you don't have to go for a full-scale war, even though that is what it seems like a legitimate thing, right? So through our discussions and through our anecdotes, we've gone through it, we've done this. We've also given proper smash essay questions. Gentle persuasion prevails where force falters, and peace beyond the absence of war rooted in justice. So What happens is that when you do attempt these questions, or when your peers attempt these questions, and you enter a live Zoom meeting with me where these are discussed, that's the best kind of teaching you can have. Essay papers are reflective. The framework, task framework, is a dialectic framework. Dialectic framework was given by Hegel, who said that history can only be understood when you understand these contradictory ideas clashing together and giving to a synthesis, which basically means a class full of intelligent people who are smart enough to discuss things. And even if you're in this, this cohort of people, you'll gain much more than what you would be studying in silo. So all the notes are in public. In fact, my task 101 PDF I had made public. But trust me, what you gain in a classroom, what you gain in a mentorship, pedagogically heavy mentorship course, there's no exception to that. Okay, thought finds a world and creates one also. Like I said, a very famous philosopher gave this statement, which was used in 2021, I guess. Real is rational, rational is real, which means that whatever is the reality, you can uncover the rational parts of it. You can figure out the logics behind it. But also, paradoxically, while you're giving some logics, you also create the world. To give an example, it's like an economist gives a theory that, let's say cement industry or whatever, this industry is going to clash because I'm seeing such macro trends across the world. And stock market folks suddenly read that thing and pull it off. And actually that company's stocks crashes, right? So I gave a theory and now that's a reality. You would have seen that in the Hindenburg and Adani ka report, something similar happened, right? Now these are examples which come to your mind. But actually if you have to attempt the essay, you should have sat down with it, figured out the task, and either taken this essay from a task approach or from a TDD approach, whatever it works. We gave this essay topic in two ways. Thought is the sculptor who can create the person you want to be, and progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So now you understand, they don't directly link to that, but a part of their thesis and a part of their antithesis would give you further points to actually think through this. But this task framework we have explained and discussed in class. Best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. I think most of the kids attempted this. Makes sense, easy topic, and we had 3 such essay topics to make you write. एक FLT में मिस कर दोगे तो दूसरे में लिखोगे, दूसरे में कर दोगे तो तीसरे में लिखोगे, कहीं ना कहीं तो फंसेगा. And if you would have written this, you would get these. Okay. Section B. All of these were in Smash. All of these. And I don't know, I probably have discussed individual topics from whatever, Abhyas, forum, whatever questions. And I didn't like this lection much. And so I then digressed in my call and started to teach those kids ki yaar ye isme kaise karoge, isme kaise karoge. My calls usually go for half an hour with every mature candidate. And we've discussed everything. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. I did not have a direct question to this, but I had an incidental question. Deferred decisions only postpone the inevitable. This is the antithesis of this, right? If you understand the reflection here, this is the antithesis, anti-topic to this, right? As you've engaged with me on classrooms and calls and in Zoom sessions, quick and simple. And just look at it, how many people really attempted it? Nothing. Do you understand the advantage you gain when you master the task framework and you go through the questions and the micro themes which we teach in class? That you would be in this minority. This. And if you're in this minority, and if you're able to do justice to that topic, which of course you would be able to, you would not bore the examiner. जिसने 50 देख ली होंगी ऐसी वाली, कहाँ क्या गया 50, 40%. You would give new point of views. We're all, much to our dismay, we are not very rational people. We are very rational people. We are very rational examiners, and we'll gift you extra marks. That's given. That's bound to happen. So 26, 27 guys who are watching me right now, this is a wake-up call. These things you cannot perfect after prelims. If you could, these poll results would be different. These questions were given. We discussed them, and I'll do a check with my students as well. But most of the people harp back on the PYQs. जो भी PYQ के related था, वो भी 2-3 साल वाले. They just did that. So people among you, aspirants among you who are saying the paper was easy, yes, it was doable because 1-2 questions were almost repeat of the PYQs. But that's true for everyone. And the whole point of essay paper is that you select a theme and you do justice to a theme which most people cannot do, right? That's the moonshot. अभी नहीं हो पाया and 2 months before the exam you're coming to me, I'll always obviously train you in the fail safe scenarios. But right now we're sitting in what, August? This is the right time to develop this muscle. अभी तो आप prelims के लिए पढ़ भी नहीं रहोगे, December तक master this, so that post prelims you just extend your X factor drops, X factor anecdotes का bank. You fine tune your arguments. TAS is not an easy framework to master. Some kid was asking me, sir, now everyone knows about TAS, at least those kids who are in the group, and your smasher say they know, but it's not a simple framework to master. There are nuances which you must flesh out. There are few kids, an IT Delhi guy I was speaking with, and he could go multiple levels. ये दिख रहा है ना? Thesis, antithesis leads to a synthesis, which in turn becomes a new thesis, and then another antithesis leads to another synthesis. ये कोई मजाक बात नहीं है. If you're able to find these layers in reality, put them on a paper, your essay is going to be dense. You will not worry at all about examples or anything because your thought patterns are so fleshed out now कि dimension तो इन्हीं की आ जाएंगी, तुम्हें इनके अंदर expand भी करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. This is how deadly and how convincingly absolute this framework is. And it's a challenge that, if you can counter this, or if any teacher, any mentor can counter this, people who are still wallowing in the past, in the pre-2021 era, they're doing so much injustice to the kids. क्योंकि ये आसान भी नहीं है master करना if you start off very late. I almost have a very missionary-like zeal here. What this essay paper I was supposed to go live with the first impressions at around 12:30, 12:45, but I delayed because I wanted to build this up for you, so that you don't take me my word on my face value. Just read this. Are there comments? Are there people here? If you need this, let me know. We'll try to drop out a PDF for this. Okay. Cool. Anyway, so this is it. This is section B, and almost every theme can be done with the task. Now, like I said, this is something we flipped. The years teach much which days never know. The second question which we gave on FLT 4 is very, very close to that. So the broader idea is that I think you might have heard a proverb called, if the old could and the young knew. Meaning that, as you get old, you get more wisdom. So now you can take a right crack at things. And younger people have all the hustle and the energy, but they don't have the wisdom, so they can't solve something. But if you could just combine these two things, that's the deadly combination. Okay. It's a very old proverb. You might have heard of this. It's a spin on that proverb. And if you flesh this out, you get these two statements, something like this. Life appears a tragedy to the sensitive and comedy to the reflective. The synthesis of this is actually this. Reflective is the wisdom guy whose years have passed. So comedy ka matlab hai ki, he'll be amused at the clamor which is going around, and he would have the simple answer and he'll give you that. Tragedy is to the person who are living day on day. आज paper खराब गया, कल paper सही गया. Who knows, you might crack a public policy think tank. And I'm just giving a broad brush. And you might get to be in UN by some other route. And as years pass by, you might realize that's the right way. This is the reflection. That's the manifestation of this reflection in a question. If this is not what you're doing in your UPSC preparation, I don't know what do you think you're going to reflect in your essay paper. And do not just restrict this to your essay. This goes beyond just the essay paper. This goes even in your GS papers. Look at the themes with which, what do we call them, analyze, critically acclaim. We call them frameworks, or I don't know, there's a word starts from D. Shitting it, but Arvind sir will tell you that. Same topic, let's say environmental preparedness. I ask you, analyze this, or critically comment on this, or elucidate this. There are 3, 4 variants, directives, we call them directives. There are 3, 4, 5 directives with which you can explore a theme. And with each exploration, you'll have different answers. And if right now you're studying Samachar Mantran or current affairs and you're going through your, X Factor mains build up, and ye nahi dekh pa rahe ho na, you're leaving a lot to chance. And there's no, so there's no exaggeration when I say that. Because there's not a single topic which came from thematic. Can you believe it? I heard videos from mentors talking about feminism se aayega, environment se aayega, economics se aayega. Kuch nahi, ghanta, zero. Nothing. I can't tell you how much excited I am to see that this gets validated within 3 months. This is crazy. And I'm here at the Civilsdaily office, so you can meet me in the evening. Not today, tomorrow. Today in the evening, I'll go with the extended life for this. I'll take 2 essay topics and I'll tell you how you must think as an aspirant. I'll make it so simple for you that क्या कहते हैं vicarious pleasures होते हैं ना, you're not even doing it but you'll feel it, you'll feel that. Okay, it's best to see life as a journey, not as a destination. I think this is what most people are tempted. Happiness is not the destination, it's a journey. Simple PYQ, almost like simple one. Most people would have attempted this. इसका task यही है कि most of us think that goals are the only meaningful milestones, but the journey and the process is what we should give a sight on, and then it's harmonizing for fulfillment. Synthesis क्या होता है ना? If you guys want to know, and if I could just tell you in a quick, there are only 3 kinds of synthesis. So thesis is basically, let's say I believe in something, and if you are a mature audience, you would say, yeah, Rohit, that makes sense, but I have an objection to it. What about this? What about this case? What about in this scenario? And if I am a mature teacher, I'll say, yep, you're right. So let's synthesize them together. So synthesis मोटा-मोटा 3 तरीके से होता है. पहला, we call upon the great Buddha and we go travel his middle path, right? We'll say, fine, let's do both things together. That's a lazy, easy, and most effective synthesis. Not most effective, but like most used synthesis. Then if you and I sit with something for long and we realize, let's say in a question of justice versus charity, and we say, charity bhi to needed hai, justice bhi needed hai, and then we come together on a synthesis that, yeah, but charity precedes justice. So both are needed, but there's a sequence of things. That's another kind of synthesis. Third kind of synthesis, which is the most mature one, is when we're both competing and we bring a third anchor, like this question. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Basically, this question is about moral courage. Dum hai, to abhi take the first step, regardless of whether you live to see the whole revolution or not. Take it. That's the first step. दूसरा बंदा कहेगा, yeah, that's all fine in social revolution, but in cases where it's an already done problem, like disaster management, medical emergency, whatnot, there you need to know the whole SOP, or even strategizing for building a democratic state. You need to use someone's playbook, and I couldn't agree more. And so what? The synthesis would come if I say, yeah, but then stay true to the vision of your forefathers, of whatever. That's third thing. Whether you're taking a short jump or you're taking a long call, stay true to the vision, because otherwise you will digress. That is the only thing which will keep, that's the only North Star matrix which will keep you in the right steed, will take you to the answer. अगर आप इसको महसूस कर पा रहे हो, that the maturity which I just explained to you in 3 lines is what's supposed to be reflected here. And in nowhere did I say you need to have a flowery language. In nowhere did I say your vocabulary needs to be uptight, top notch. No, your ideas need to flesh out beautifully, land on the paper with arguments tied up to the thesis, antithesis, or synthesis. That's it, bingo. You do that, you train with us, and you can even pick up the questions which majority could not, these ones, and you can do brilliant in this. Okay? Again, repeat. People who say that the paper was easy, yes. I don't have the analogy, but yeah, I mean, so it was for 80% kids, like 40% kids. So you're competing among the 40%. This person who would have done even halfway justice to this will get more marks than the person who would have repeated those cliche anecdotes and examples. Okay. Last one, contentment is natural wealth, luxury is artificial property. तुम देख रहे होगे ना, synthesis almost ऐसे आता है, middle path, inner peace, harmonize for fulfillment. इसमें different है. This is the sequential thing, that true knowledge is layered. Raw data consolidates, give rise to a wisdom, and so on and so forth. इसमें भी आपका layered है. But this is very simple. We gave the FLT 3. So that's it. This is what my public task 101 document was, where I clearly told you that pre-2021 era mein, the questions were like this. And now post-21 era, the questions are like this. They are reflective. History repeats itself. First as a tragedy, second as a farce. Most people don't even know what farce mean, or if they know what it means, they don't know how to reflect it properly. When we work with kids, and we work with those kids whose heart is in the right place. Okay, your heart's in the right place, you know what you need to say. But because of the critical issues of our schooling and our college education system, we were never taught how to put our thoughts properly on a paper. This was something which was never fleshed out for us. And that's very poor reflection of our education system. We might know things. So if you hear me, it might come to us, yeah, obviously, Rohit, I mean, it makes sense. That's why most of the people, they flunk the ethics paper. flunk relative to their potential, right? Because everything assumes everything appears normal to them. Wisdom, knowledge, information makes sense. They'll interchangeably use it. Someday I'll take the attempted copies of the rankers, the people who've given right now and or last year got in the rank, the initial iterations. You'll see how they've mixed words, meanings, how what they wanted to say wasn't coming out clearly on paper. That's because it's not your fault. It's because we've never been trained to be so rigorous and meticulous about this. So let that not be a handicap, right? When we find that your heart and head is in the right place, that your innocence of getting into service, that you've left good jobs and you've left lucrative careers and you're giving it your second year, third year, whatever, and pains us. All of us have once been there. I graduated from IIT in 2009, worked in consulting for about 4 to 5 years, then attempted the paper because Vinod Rai was a distant known acquaintance and I just wanted to do what he did with the CAG. Those are the romantic ideas which we come inspired in the preparation, and then the preparation is a whole new game. So dil or dimag sahi hai na. So if you just study this document, the task 101, which is free in the Telegram group, you'll understand what has changed. And this evolution that you have to make to get your essays right under your belt is not trivial. It has to be very deliberate. एक शब्द को तराशना होता है, मजाक नहीं है बिल्कुल भी. I've like I said, पिछले 3 महीने से I've been getting on calls with close to 500 folks who are writing the essay right now, and that's all I could manage. And I know how it hurts when I tell them, because it's not rocket science, right? This is not an IIT exam where rotation dynamics समझ में नहीं आई तो crack नहीं कर पाओगे. You know everything. You just have to figure a way to layer it, argument solid करना, and that takes time. This is what I taught these people. Very simple on the face, not even an elaborate acronym like PESTEL and whatnot shit. Very simple, but you have to spend more time with this. Spend more time across our essays, across the course, across the workshop we do. And once you master it, and people who are still here once you master this, even current affairs become easy. क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है उसमें, टास्क का फ्रेमवर्क का जो कोर सिंथेसिस है, जो कोर एसेंस है, वो यही है कि हिस्ट्री एंड थिंग्स अराउंड अस, दे मूव फ्रॉम वन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट टू अनदर. ओके, सो देयर वाज अ वेरी रीसेंट न्यूज ऑन आई थिंक म्यांमार एंड इंडिया, जो 2023 से चल रही है, एंड इट हैज कम टू सम लेवल ऑफ resolution in 2025 that we're giving them 500 million and we've signed an FTA and stuff like that. And if you are an antithesis person, you'll say, yes, so what, China can give $1 billion. Matlab, capital is not the moat for India, right? Or China can outsmart us. Yeah, but then I would say, but in the times in the last 2 years when, we were ousted in a way, our military was ousted from Malaysia, Maldives, what was it? I think, I don't remember exactly. We still completed the projects. We still completed the bridge projects. And that gave us a soft power. So I'm introducing a soft power diplomacy concept into this, which China right now cannot counter because China screwed up Sri Lanka with their Hambantota port, right? Which when it came was heralded as something amazing. And now Sri Lanka is in a 99-year debt. So when you keep arguing things like these in our classes in Samachar Manthan, and you understand that is what's going through, you'll be a much, much more mature aspirant. Or boss, yahi time hai, because this is the headspace you need to carry to the interview. You think interviewers like people who are very binary in their, approach? This is right, this is wrong. I see in the essay questions, essay papers, people write, we should have positive thinking, we should have negative thinking. What? Are you in school? Or they give very simple moral directives. As a citizen, it's our duty to uphold this. I mean, you're going to bore the examiner to death. Lines which have not taken friction from you to master them are the lines which 80% kids are going to write. I can make a whole video or seminar just telling you these by reinforcing the essay questions that keep coming to you. Okay, kya hai? Best lessons are learned through bitter experiences, multiple essay attempts across the paper. That's going to teach you. The years teach much which days never know. People who are starting right now and they think it's going to be a linear progress. Bhul jao. It's usually a hockey stick graph. Initial few months are very tight and they should be tight and you should feel darkness, but the mentor is going to save you. And the moment you unlock that level, you shoot up. You shoot up very fast. That's the high of this examination, which each one of you should experience. The maturity of thought when it comes. in the mains answer writing. And that's what we keep teaching. That is why Animesh ko we made sure he starts writing the answer from week 1 itself, when you have zero maturity and zero exam preparation and zero syllabus coverage. Fight, fight, fight. You keep getting better. पूरा का पूरा ज्ञान ना मैं almost ऐसे के टॉपिक से दे सकता हूँ, which would be a lot of rhetoric, and I don't know, you would not like it, but this is it. This is all that you need to figure out. So I'm going to close it at this. Thank you for the 55 odd guys who are still here. The essay course which I teach is a part of the Smash Mains initiative, but I give out individually as well, and we start on the 1st September. And we start really hard. Today evening, close to 7 p.m, I'm going to come again and explain to you. I'll take, let's say, 2 essays from this year. I'll just explain it out to you. Kya kya sochna tha, and explain to you like a mature aspirant would think, right? So not as a mentor, but how you think. Paper aaya, question dekha, and you start thinking of examples first, then you go back to your rough sheet, you try to flesh out ideas, then you figure out dimension nahi hai, then kuch ka argument nahi match up hota, and we'll try to see what are the stages through which you grow ultimately to crack a 140 plus essay. If you guys have looked at this year ranker copies as well, last year ranker copies as well, you would find the task framework inherent. Any mature mind thinks through these loop: thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Then this thing continues. It's not just related to essay, this is life as well. If you have a very fixed point of view, if you're a very stubborn aspirant who don't think what I'm saying is making sense, I can't help you. But if there are some cracks and there are some buts which are coming to your mind, live through them, sustain them. Okay? Just stay put with them, because the synthesis is just around the corner. There's a very famous quote which goes something like this: that a mark of a mature man, not a woman, is their ability to hold two competing ideas and still not lose their mind. Most of us, we lose our mind. We just quickly want a resolution. That's not the person which UPSC wants. And this is what it's testing. So I'm so glad and I'm so happy to see how things are evolving within UPSC's paradigm. You master these frameworks, your ethics paper is also going to be a breeze. Shikhar sir is going to teach you ethics, and he's going to discuss ethics paper when it comes to pass. But you understand and imbibe this reflective thoughts, you're going to score X factor marks in your GS papers, because वहाँ पे ये वाले subtle हरकतें करने का point रहता है introduction और conclusion में. Body तो almost you're going to have details, so there's much of a rote learning there, not much you can do. Essays is all reflective, boss. There's no way around. There's just no way around. Don't believe me? Talk to your mentors. Talk to wherever you went. Figure out the depth of their intellect. Figure out how many levels can they go with you live. I used to do live paper checking, because that's where you really understand the tension between an aspirant and a mentor, and how fast I can course correct you. Mentorship is all about fault finding and course correction. Okay, mentorship is not about giving you some material, some PDF. That's all free. That revolution in edtech has come and gone by. Now it's all about deep work, hard resets, and fast. Okay, so take the paper and go talk to your mentor, yaar. See for yourself. And I would say, जैसे लोग stock market में करते हैं ना, cut your losses. Exam तुम्हें निकालना है, उन्हें नहीं निकालना. Cut your losses, figure out where they are, and then there might be really well-meaning people. Just haven't grown with times, and it happens. It happens with most of us. Okay? So come talk to us, sit with us, write something, and then come talk to us. ऊपर से बातें करोगे ना, तुम्हारा फायदा होगा ना हमारा. Sit, talk to us. I'll try to have a live at 7 today. Well, I'll take you through this whole thing in a way that you can feel it to your bones. When you feel it to the bones, I mean, then that experience will register and will stay with you for long. Okay, awesome. I've not been able to take any comments, but I'll go through the whatever you write, and we'll meet in the evening. Best of luck for 26, 27. Are there anyone from 25 batch here? I hope not. Great. Prepare well. We'll see you in the evening. Take care. Bye.